Today is Wednesday, August 22nd. We have a special meeting. Calexico City Council, Calexico Redevelopment Successor Agency, Calexico Financing Authority, special meeting. Call to order, please.
Mayor Pacheco?
Here.
Mayor Pretend Escobar?
Here.
Councilmember Hodge?
Here.
Councilmember Bernal is absent. Councilmember Hidalgo is absent.
Leaders in the city, pledge of allegiance, please, Mr. Figueroa.
Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pledge.
Mission statement.
Mr. Dale, you have the honors.
Together,
we pledge to provide effective
and efficient services in a courteous and respectful manner to improve the quality of life for all in our unique border community. Viva Calexico!
Thank you. Approval of the one-item agenda, please. Is there a motion?
Make a motion?
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do you read the announcement, Ms. Clerk?
This is a time for the public to address the city council on the special agenda only. The mayor will recognize you when you come to the microphone. Please state your name and press the button for the record. All members of the public are encouraged to participate. It is unlawful to observe or delay council meetings and make personal or slanderous remarks. City council is prohibited by state law from taking action or discussing items not included in the agenda. Please direct your questions and comments to the city council.
Thank you. Before we start with the public hearing, we'll hear our staff report from our consultant. We have a staff report.
Mayor and council members, yes, for the EIR, we do have a staff report that will be given by Kirk Curry. And then also we will have the EIR report that will be going by EGI. So I'd like to introduce Kurt or to come up.
Thank you, Ralph. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, on October 30th of 2017, a uniform application was submitted to the City of Calexico by Trinity Property Company, LLC. The application proposes the construction and operation of 4 cannabis cultivation and manufacturing facilities and 1 transportation and distribution facility located within the cannabis overlay zone within the City of Calexico. On October 6th, the Planning Commission reviewed and approved the proposed project at their public hearing. The proposed Trinity Cannabis and Cultivation and Manufacturing Facility will be constructed in 2 phases over a period of 30 months. Construction would start with Phase 1 tenant improvements to an existing structure at 2421 Enterprise Boulevard. In addition, carve out of the transportation and distribution facility parcel and the transportation office would be part of Phase 1. Phase 2 would include 3 buildings, the cultivation and manufacturing facilities as well, and is also a 2,200 square foot administration building and a 323 square foot guardhouse. In total, the project would occupy 8.44 acres with 167,241 square feet and have 263 parking spaces. Staff has reviewed the proposed project and supports and recommends approval of the submitted development agreement and the requested lot line adjustment and parcel carve-out, as well as the cultivation and manufacturing license, commercial cannabis activity, regulatory permit application, and the environmental impact report. Staff has reviewed the project. Based on the information in the staff report, staff recommends that the City Council approve and adopt the attached resolution and the ordinance. With that, I would like to just go over a couple of items for house cleaning for the council that I'd like to make note. First, in the staff report, in the development agreement ordinance, it would be on page 4 of the development agreement ordinance, quarter of the way through the binder there, where it reads, therefore, the city council approves the development agreement. We would like to add the language attached hereto as Exhibit A. And then the development agreement will be marked and labeled as Exhibit A. That way there's no confusion or misunderstanding that the attachment A is the development agreement. The second item would be on page 5 of the ordinance as well. Condition number 4, we would like to change and modify that the project shall include the development of a maximum of 4, it says 5, so we're changing that to 4 cannabis cultivation and manufacturing facilities, and then we'll add the following language, and 1 transportation and distribution facility. So we're just going to clean up referencing the Exhibit A and the condition as well. In addition, the City Council has received a memo dated with today's date of August 22nd. You have that memo that was provided to you prior to the meeting that's part of your packet and part of the agenda. It's in a response to a letter from Leuna. The letter from Leuna was received on August 16th following the EIR comment period and also the Planning Commission meeting as well. And the memo addresses comments that were received in that letter. So I just wanted to make sure that we noted that you have the memo in front of you as well. I believe those were the items that we wanted to address. At this point, I would like to defer to our environmental consultant that will give you a brief run-through on the environmental impact report as well. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Pacheco and members of the council. I'm Melanie Halajan, project manager, along with Kevin Grant from EGI, and we prepared the environmental impact report. I'll be giving a brief presentation of the contents of the report. First of all, this is an overview of the environmental process, which began back in December. Shows the period over which the draft was prepared, public comments received, the final prepared, Planning Commission, and here we are tonight on August 22nd for the City Council hearing. The EIR examined 11 issues from the CEQA Appendix G checklist. The items shown with an asterisk indicate those issue areas where an impact was identified that could be mitigated. One issue area was identified, climate change and greenhouse gases, that had significant unavoidable changes. And the following slides briefly show the alternatives that were analyzed, as well as the proposed project, which Mr. Corey just described. The alternatives included development of the existing building at 2421 Enterprise Boulevard with the transportation and distribution facility, which is phase 1 only. Alternative 2, which would have a alternative energy supply of aluminum reactors to provide energy to support phase 2.
Excuse me. Is there or turn off the lights, one of the two? Our clerk here needs to.
Sorry for interrupting.
There we go.
Okay. The third alternative also was an alternative energy source, which would include on-site solar to supplement IID electricity and support development of phase 2. Also alternative 4, which would have the project not being developed at all. So then the following slides show the impacts that would require mitigation, and these are outlined here. I won't belabor these, but if there are any questions at the end, I can certainly address those. As noted with climate change and greenhouse gases, that was the one impact area that had significant unavoidable. However, mitigation measures were identified to reduce the gases to the extent feasible. So the conclusions of the EIR, as stated, were that all long-term operational, or all but one impact, which was with regard to long-term operational greenhouse gases, could be mitigated to less than significant levels with the mitigation measures identified. A mitigation monitoring and reporting program has been prepared to ensure that mitigation measures are implemented at the appropriate times during both construction and operation of the project. And as noted previously, there was one significant unavoidable impact with regard to operational greenhouse gas emissions. And this was addressed with a statement of overriding considerations. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I do have a cleanup item. It looks like somebody noted that the approval of the agenda, we didn't officially approve the agenda, so.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Agenda approved.
You guys were waiting for me to get here. Thank you.
We approve the agenda?
That's what we're saying.
Okay. We're going to open up the public hearing now. Anybody wishing to speak on this item, please? Anybody?
Don't start
Either
farting.
way.
Don't start fighting to get in line.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. My name is Rebecca Davis. I represent Laborers International Union of North America, Local 1184, including their members that live and work in and around Calexico. We submitted written comments via email this morning, and you should have those in front of you now. Well, I don't have time to cover everything. I want to highlight a few points of the letter that we submitted. And the letter in general discusses the reasons why the EIR is inadequate, and we believe additional analysis is necessary. First, the EIR fails to analyze the entire project, including necessary electrical infrastructure. CEQA requires that an environmental analysis include the impact of a project as a whole, including all reasonably foreseeable phases of a project. The EIR acknowledges that the project will generate a large demand for electricity and that will require extension of the electrical infrastructure, including a new substation and transmission line extensions. Yet the EIR fails to analyze any of the new electrical infrastructure that will be required to provide the project with electricity. CEQA does not allow the agency to piecemeal an analysis in this manner. The EIR should be revised to analyze the environmental impacts of the substation as part of the whole of the project. Second, the EIR fails to impose all feasible mitigation measures to reduce the greenhouse gas impacts. The EIR admits that the project will generate more than 28,000 metric tons of CO2 per year, compared to the CEQA significance threshold of 900 tons per year. Despite this significant impact, the majority of the mitigation measures proposed in the EIR to reduce the GHG impacts are uncertain and unenforceable in violation of CEQA. For example, one mitigation measure states that the project will incorporate energy-reducing practices to minimize peak energy loads, which may include but are not required to include the staggering of grow room schedules over a 24-hour period. Another mitigation measure states that light-colored cool roofs and cool pavements shall be included in building design and site design to the extent practicable. Another one states that, again, to the extent practical, on-site plant waste shall be diverted for composting or recycling. The public has no way of knowing whether the developer will include all, some, or none of the listed measures. There is no way to legally enforce any of these measures if the developer chooses not to implement them. In addition, the EIR fails to consider a number of other additional feasible mitigation measures that would reduce the project's emission. Finally, the EIR does not properly analyze or mitigate the project's biological impacts. Our biological expert reviewed the EIR and noted that only a general survey rather than a targeted survey for special status species was conducted, which is inconsistent with the City of Calexico General Plan Policy 3C, and the general survey was not even performed by a qualified wildlife biologist. In addition, the survey was conducted in the winter months and only for 3 hours. The survey improperly concluded that, other than Big Saltbush, the project site contains no biological resources. In contrast to this conclusion, our expert believes there are 30 special status species with the potential to use the project site. The EIR does not even mention 23 of these. Our expert points out in his comments that the failure to detect special status species is likely because the survey was performed by a botanist rather than a wildlife biologist. The survey effort was too small, and no detection surveys were performed for any of the special status species of wildlife. Without proper detection surveys, the EIR fails to analyze the project's biological impacts and fails to mitigate those impacts. To conclude, we request that the council decline to certify the EIR and not approve the project, and instead require revisions and recirculation of the EIR to comply with CEQA. Thank you.
Anybody else, Ms. Garcia? Anybody wishing to address the issue on the EIR?
If there's no other speakers, we have to close the public comment, right?
That's what I'm waiting for. Okay, we're going to close the section for public comments now. We're going to open it up for the city council to vote on the measure.
Can we make some comments?
Yes, you can.
I'll start off by saying that this is something that, again, if I've been on council 3.5 years, a little more than 3.5 years, and if in the beginning they would have told me that this was something that we would be doing, I wouldn't have believed it, because it wasn't something that I guess was on my mind or anybody on the council's mind at the time. I don't believe. It came to Calexico, and it's been a long time for everybody, staff and Trinity and everybody working on this project. I just want to tell my fellow council members here and the people that are here, and no disrespect to I believe Dunham is her last name, but I will say that I have actually toured probably about 10 cultivation facilities in California to this date. San Diego, LA, Riverside County. I think even our attorney Carlos Campos in his city, or the cities that our firm works for, have cultivation facilities. And I can tell you that this is the only one in California that I know of that has done any environmental impact report at all. So I think Calexico is at the forefront of doing this the right way. And I'm not trying to bash any other cities, Desert Hot Springs or Coachella and everybody that hasn't done it. The county approved it. Guess what? They're not asking for EIRs either. So, my hat's off to Trinity for doing this the right way. Spending the money. The environmental impact reports are not cheap, and I think Calexico's doing it the right way. I think we're going through all the hoops. This is something that probably we could have done without, but I think we, like other cities and other counties, but I think we're doing the right thing. And at the end of the day, this environmental impact report I believe is adequate, and that we should move forward. Just my opinion. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else comment?
Go ahead.
I'm going to read you 3 points that are part of our packets, and I think these 3 points really epitomize the project as a whole. The project will bring economic growth to Calexico, including employment, taxes, and associated multiplier effect. Short-term construction jobs will be created, as well as long-term jobs associated with the operation of the facility. The project will diversify Calexico's economic and industrial base. I'm going to repeat that. The project will diversify Calexico's economic and industrial base. As an indoor cultivation facility, the project represents an emerging sector of agribusiness that is well suited to industrial portion of the city. The project is the first of its kind and will bring a sustainable and expandable model of commerce to the city of Calexico. The project will enhance the local community through involvement with various community events, causes, and charities. In addition to excise taxes, revenues generated by the project will be used to fund various charities and organizations with a focus on education and the youth of Calexico. That's what it's all about. Economic development for the city of Calexico, jobs for the city of Calexico. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Escobar. Mr. Hodge?
I would wholeheartedly concur with Councilman Escobar that the key factor here is jobs.
What about me? Also?
You too,
Oh.
also, Mandy. Yeah, didn't mean to
far.
leave you out there, little guy. I read this, and it's pretty thorough. And what I can derive is that it's a thorough report and pretty accurate. And I think we have done our due diligence. The only area, if you don't mind to indulge me, City Manager, if you can. If you can't, that's fine. What, could you tell me one or two mitigation factors we're going to have for greenhouse gas emissions? Yeah. Okay.
In the packet that was provided, the greenhouse gas
I didn't get a
measures,
chance to read.
They're in there. To give you some examples, you were asking for examples.
Okay.
Attachment A shows what the greenhouse gases are, gas mitigations are that have been identified for the project to implement. In addition, they've gone through the Attorney General's recommended mitigation measures. That's attachment B that's provided. So the applicant has definitely demonstrated that they are willing to do everything feasible, everything possible to reduce the greenhouse gases.
Good.
I might note, again, this is in the packet that's in front of you, the memo from city staff, that the Imperial County Air Pollution Control District's position is that the utility providers already mitigate for greenhouse gases. So the environmental impact report actually went above and beyond in terms of identifying additional mitigation measures to reduce the greenhouse gases.
Thank you.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
and Councilman, for the record, the letter reference is dated August 22nd of today. It's part of the record now, and it was addresses a lot of the comments made by LaUna, and that are again supplemented in the letter submitted today for the record. And that again is the August 22nd memo. It's in the record to address those concerns.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Okay. I concur with all the council members that this is a long-awaited for. It's going to hopefully shoot a lot of energy into our economic base and bring in welcomed revenues. And it's going to take time, but we're on the right track. The voters still have to vote, but we're in the right frame of mind, and we're doing the steps correctly. And I think we need to take a vote on the issue now.
Mayor, I would like to just add real quick, because this is something that I feel anyways, and maybe a lot of people in Calexico could feel this way. I really believe that this is going to echo, in the ears of everybody in this county. Calexico, I'm gonna try and put it as nice as I can. Has been a city that for a long time has been really hard to do business. People would say that Calexico would have their doors closed to business and progress. And let me just say that for me, this, and for all of us, I think this right now tells everybody that Calexico jumped to the #1 spot of being the most progressive city in this county.
It is progressive.
And saying, you know what, we're done with the past. We're done with only letting who we want in. We're at the forefront of progress, and be it cannabis business or be it any other business. Calexico, I want this to echo. Calexico is open for business. We're rolling out the red carpet for anyone that wants to come and do business in Calexico and create jobs and tax revenue for this city. That's what needs to echo in everybody's mind. And with that, I'll make a motion to approve it.
Let me just make a little statement that we need to approve A, the Environmental Impact Report and Development Agreement for Trinity Property Company, LLC. B, adoption of a resolution of the City Council of the City of Calexico, California, approving the certification of the final Environmental Impact Report, SCH 217121037, and adoption of the findings of fact and the statement of overriding considerations and adoption of mitigated monitoring and reporting plan for the Trinity Property Company, LLC, for the establishment of a cannabis cultivation and manufacturing facility project.
That's B.
I will motion what you said.
I have one more.
One more.
We'll take all three of them. We're going to do and waive the first reading of an ordinance approving a development agreement between the City of Calexico and Trinity Property Company, LLC, and the establishment of a cannabis cultivation and manufacturing facility project for the real property within the City of Calexico. Is there a motion to accept all A, B, and C?
Make a
Motion
motion
made.
Second.
And then one clarification, and the ordinance will, we have made revisions to page 4 and page 5. For the record,
Exhibit
during the
A
staff presentation.
and the
Correct.
conditions. Okay.
Motion to approve. What he
Is there,
said.
is there a second?
Motion second to approve.
All those in
1A,
favor?
1B, 1C.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
And if you'll allow me to read the ordinance to the record, ordinance City Council of Calexico approving a development agreement between the City of Calexico and Trinity Property Company, LLC, for the establishment of a cannabis cultivation and manufacturing facility project for real property within the City of Calexico. Thank you.
Viva Calexico.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Nobody brought donuts? No?
Well.
Motion to adjourn. Thank you.